One time I was in this chair, my work chair, I'll get into that later, from 8:15 a.m. until 8:15 p.m. What's going on? Can you hear me? If I'm talking, can you hear me? You can hear the words I'm saying. Hi YouTube, I'm Shay and you're watching My Teaching Chronicles. For all of my viewers, I'm Shay. I'm in my first year of teaching. I teach in a high school in New Jersey and I'm teaching AP US Government and Politics. So let's dive right into the video. Today I'll be discussing my 5 virtual learning tips. So I'm in my first year of teaching. It is what is the word? Unconventional. I'm in my first year of teaching, and it is an unconventional year of teaching, but I'm doing my best, all of my efforts, to make this unconventional year as routine and as seamless as possible. So with that, I have had these 5 tips that have helped me stay afloat as we've been going through this unconventional year. So I'm just gonna dive right in, right? Tip number 1, set alarms, phone alarms. While you were in school, I'm sure that you had this handy dandy, that's where the school bell noise is going to go, ideally, if I'm able to put it in. If not, then that will just be an awkward moment in this video and I'll be embarrassed. But you all had this handy dandy school bell. When I was a student, hated the school bell, right? And now I know why we need the school bell. School schedules just do not seem as typical as they were back in my day. Or maybe I was just more on it. On Thursday, we have an advisory that we don't have any other day on the week. We do tutorial once a day, or once a week, I'm sorry. One day a week we have tutorial after school. One day there is an advisory. One day a week, Friday, is a whole different schedule than Monday through Thursday, and I will be just entirely turned around if I do not have my alarms to help me understand where I'm supposed to be, where I need to be, and when. And the alarm sort of brings us to tip number 2. Tip number 2, boundaries. What does boundaries and alarm have to do with each other? You need an alarm for the end of the day. One time I was in this chair, my work chair, I'll get into that later, from 8:15 a.m. until 8:15 p.m. What's going on? Working, doing things all day because everything, there's always something to be done. I didn't realize the day had come and gone until the sun went down and I was like, where's my day? I need dinner and I need to go to sleep now. It was horrendous. Having an alarm that's the end of the day alarm will help us keep up with that. I mean, some may not need that, but I know I do. If I'm in the zone, I'll forget and then I'll be sad. So make sure that we have that alarm to mark the end of the day as well. But staying on boundaries, work boundaries are extremely important given any work job or work environment that you're in. But in virtual learning, I truly believe that your boundaries have to be a little different. So for example, I limit my email responses. I'm not going to respond to a student's email at 11 p.m. I know that you have this important political question, but it's 11 p.m. and I'm asleep. So I make sure that I have a time to just turn off my email responses so that I can relax and recharge so that I'm ready to teach another day. And with that relaxation and recharge, I also have created physical boundaries within my home. So for example, my bed, no work. No work sees my bed sees no work. My bed sees sleep. And it really helps me actually sleep a lot better. I know in college personally, I did work in my bed all the time. I never could sleep in my bed. Now that I do no work in my bed, magically, I hit my head there, I'm asleep. So that's really important to have. And also, like I mentioned, this is my work chair. I record YouTube videos, I grade papers, I teach my students, I do all kinds of things from my work chair so that when I get on the couch, which is coincidentally right next to my work chair, I don't do any work really. So on the couch, I might do some like work if there's a lesson I'm excited about. If I decide, hey, let me just catch up on a few things, but it's not the same energy as my work chair. My work chair is like work hours, work time, doing work in this chair. So I'll eat lunch on my couch because that's my relaxation. Let me watch one episode of Netflix, get some lunch in, recharge for next period. If I'm eating lunch in my work chair, that is a work lunch. That is no relaxation lunch. I am on edge, I am working, I am moving fast. These physical boundaries, I think, really just help me keep a peace of mind because I don't have the physical boundary of school versus my home anymore. So I just try to create that to have as much balance and to have as much room for relaxation as I can. And then that brings us to tip number 3. Tip number 3, I try to create an educational partnership with my students. I think that all teachers really do this, but I found that it can look a little bit different on virtual learning, and that's what I'm here to discuss. So, for example, I utilize a lot of Google Forms, right? We just entered our second quarter of the year, and I had a Google form, a student support form, where students can submit, different forms of support they'd like to see this quarter to help them improve their grade or etc. Another form that I'll have educational partnership during Zoom earlier this week. I heard some teachers play music while students are having work time. And I said, hey, what do you think about that? Put a 1 in the chat, love music. Love to hear that during work time. 2 in the chat, not my jam, not interested. Please get it out of here. And just quickly, students will respond in the Zoom chat very quickly. And I do that a lot. I'll say, oh, what do we want to do? Group discussion or breakout rooms? 1 in the chat, breakout rooms. 2 in the chat, group discussion. And I'm getting responses. It just helps that, it just helps so many things, right? So students have an ownership of the class partially. And it also helps me keep up with what they'd be interested in doing and keep variety, right? I mean, once in a while we can get bored, things get a little monotonous. Let's switch it up today. What do you want to do? What do you think? And they're usually very responsive. I also find that students have very good ideas and they really help a lot. So I wish they were the teachers sometimes. No, I love being a teacher, but whenever I use student ideas, I always see improvement from students. They see things that I don't. So keeping that educational partnership really helps with having student improvement and student involvement in the class. That brings us now to tip number 4. Tip number 4, pre-cut your lessons. So I'm sure that this has been a practice of teachers since forever, but I'm finding that in the world of virtual learning, I need to pre-cut lessons like never before. These tech issues that take place eat up the lessons. One day I'm teaching, I'm in the groove, we're going, fire alarm. The building was testing the fire alarms. 7 minutes of the lesson, gone, kaput. What? I cannot hear anything. I apologize. I don't know what this is about. Luckily, I pre-cut the lesson so that I knew, different areas that I could cut out to make up for those 7 minutes that we lost because the fire alarm was going off and students had to just do independent work. You have about 4 more. I'm going to try to talk and type in the chat. 3 more minutes to write out your responses in Desmo to the hook. So you've read the excerpt and you're writing your response in Desmos. I see many of us are logged in, about 11 of us so far. Oh my God. Oh, it ended. I didn't think we would make it. Thank you so much for bearing with me. You all did great. So yeah, we're just gonna pick up where we left off. So what I do pre-cut lessons is while I'm planning, I label certain parts of the lesson in red and I say, these are cute, like these are really cute discussion questions. These are cute documents, but if worse comes to worse, they're gonna get scrapped to make sure that we get to the key parts of the lesson and really meet that lesson objective. So personally, I'm a thinker. That's just how I am. The students see it too, right? We'll be on Zoom and they can see me sometimes. I'm just like, because I need to think about things before I do them. It's how I process. And instead of having a time where, oh my goodness, we have 3 documents, but we only have 5 minutes, and what am I pre-cut the lesson so I can just quickly dive in. All right, we're reading document 1, skip 2 and 3 today, or whatever the case may be. I also find that with virtual learning, it's a good idea to leave time for students to upload their materials. So, for example, for content lectures, right, I'll do a quiz after every lecture, and part of the quiz is students have to upload the notes that they took in the lecture. If I'm giving you 1 minute or I'm giving you 30 seconds, upload your notes right now. I find that is where I get the most submission, when I give them the time in class so that they don't forget after class. But part of that means you have to have time to do that. Where do I make the time? You guessed it, pre-cutting the lessons. And then this brings us to tip number 5. The video's almost over. Unbelievable. Hate to see that. Don't worry. You'll see another video next week if you hit that subscribe button below. Tip number five. Tip number five is to establish a routine. So while yes, I love to survey the students and have a variety of things, make sure nobody gets bored and make sure that students have ownership of how class goes as well. The class typically does have a set structure to avoid any confusion, and it also helps to save time. So for example, for my class, something that I've started doing, all do nows and all exit tickets are Google Forms, right? So whenever a student logs into class, it's never, Miss, what are we doing? You know, once you log into class, we're in the first 5 minutes. You're opening up that Google form in your worksheet, working on that and hitting submit. I've been doing that every single day now for 2 weeks. My submission rates are off the charts. In the past, there's been a lot of, oh, I don't have this link, or where am I supposed to be doing this? Where are we submitting this? What are we doing? Now that those questions are out of the window, students are just good diving in, getting the work done, and getting it to me. I am so, honestly, you might feel the excitement because it's amazing, right? Students I've never received work from before are submitting the work because they understand the routine, they know what it is they have to do, they get it done, and that is the end. So I might have to do a whole other video about Google Form, but I know it's not just the nature of Google Form. It's the fact that there are no questions. There is no Miss, where am I submitting? Miss, where is the do now? You know where the do now is. It's the same place that it was the day before, as well as the day before that. Having a routine where students know the way that they need to submit the work, know where to submit the work, and where there is no question allows more time for students to actually work on that assignment, and it ups your submissions, and you have more work submissions than you've ever had before. So those were my 5 student teaching tips. If you got to this part of the video, you already know you're a real one. And thank you so much for sitting here with me. What are some of your virtual learning tips? How do you make this virtual learning world that we're in seamless enough for students to learn, for teachers to teach, and for everybody to be happy? Interested in hearing your thoughts in the comments. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Instagram at MyTeachingChronicles to get a closer look at my teaching adventures.